said guys are more comfortable than women, especially when they're in long-term relationships. Do you feel like, because obviously when it comes to marriage, the majority of divorces are initiated by women.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of guys are like, oh, this is why I'm not going to get married. Women, they're going to leave you anyways. But I personally feel like women, they initiate divorces at a higher rate because they're first to say, I'm fed up. This is not working for me. Meanwhile, the guy who is probably also fed up, but he's comfortable, he's complacent, he's not going to walk out of the relationship because he's like, she's okay, she's not great, but I'm already too comfortable. I don't want to start over with somebody else, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So they might not be happy, but they're less likely to leave a relationship or a marriage because the woman will say, you know what, enough is enough. Do you agree with that assessment that I'm kind of bringing to you?
The thing that I've come to realize now is that, women are making their own money, right? So there's a lot less that's like forcing them to have to stay in relationships, right? Like by all means, if the guy was the only breadwinner and like they were to like separate or divorce, the girl respectively would have nothing to her name.
Mm-hmm.
But now like they do, right? And this is not too long ago. Like we're talking within like the last 100 years, give or take, right?
Yeah.
More or less. So like now that like they're being more and more independent, making their own money, why would you want to stay with a guy that's just being average, so to speak, or is doing the same as you when you're like the girls are on their grind now. Like they have money. Like if they leave the relationship, like they're still okay, like financially, right?
Yeah.
And I think guys, they become like complacent and they kind of just like chill because they feel like, oh, like I got my girl now, it's official, like she's not gonna leave me.
She ain't gonna leave or whatever, even though this isn't the best relationship.
And also to add to that, I feel that for a lot of men now, like we're not like raised the same way as we used to be raised like back then either. Like before, like we were kind of like, it was like the patriarchy, right? Like the father was like passing down the information on how to be like a better man and how you should treat a woman, stuff like that. I feel like it's kind of gotten like lost through time, more or less. So I feel like that dynamic is lacking too, right? I don't like. It might be like like a unpopular opinion. I just don't feel that for the average guy now we're stepping into the roles that we instinctively have to want to lead, to want to provide, to want to protect. I'm talking about average. I'm not talking about sorry. I'm not talking about us. I'm not talking about entrepreneurs. I'm not talking about people that are above average. Like
driven.
Yeah, when we're talking about average, sorry. We're talking about average, we're taking like the majority of men. Right.
Right.
And like you see them like when you walk down the street or whatever, right? Like I'm talking about those guys. And I think they become complacent where like the rest of the guys are wanting to be the ones who are able to protect and provide and to do these kind of things. So there's kind of like a dynamic shift that I feel like has been happening with the last few years. You know, like girls are on their come up, they're on their grind, they wanted to be independent. And I feel like guys are kind of like on the back burner a little bit. They don't have like the drive that they used to have like years ago, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it gets initiated because it's like,
the woman's like, dude, I already make my own money. I don't need you, especially if you're not bringing anything to this relationship.
100%. I mean, respect. Like, I don't know what your guys' opinion what your opinion is, but I feel like women like to look up to their partner, and not to say that they're below them or inferior in any regard, but they like to want to like learn from them, right? And like they like someone that's able to like teach them things, right, to a certain degree and whatnot, you know.
But I'm sorry.
No, but I was just gonna say, and I just feel like that's kind of what like men are like not capable to do anymore. Because like if you look at a guy now, sometimes they can't even hang up like a picture frame on the wall, or they can't like you know like and that's kind of like the basics in what we're taught, like
right,
you know, to feel like we should know as a man, but like it's changed obviously through time.
You think women like to admire their significant other?
I mean, who wouldn't? You know, it's like why like. I don't know. I feel like when you like even in your situation, like you know, she pushes you, like you have that drive within you.
Yeah.
And she gives you that additional one, right? So I feel like it's the same thing for women when they look to their man. Like you kind of want to like, have that like bouncing of back and forth of like wanting to grind or to succeed.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
And you as a man, you want your woman to be proud of you. Like I want my partner to be like that. That's my man.
Yeah.
And he could do these things for me. You know, provide not just financially, but also emotionally, physically, and be there and be like, yo, that's my man.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that.
But now we talk a lot about average men, right? But let's talk about now the state of the current average woman who they, you know, it's like, what do you want at this point? you know?
Yeah.
Because there was a certain time where, yes, a woman would look up to a man for almost everything because, you know, men are, I guess they would have more of those resources, or they would kind of be put in positions that they had to accomplish more things, while women, I guess, were just looking up to them. But now we have this wave of, I don't want to say modern feminism, but it's almost like, okay, well, you're grinding, you want to get your own job, you're making your own money. And to a certain degree, I almost feel like with this whole, like, for years, women didn't have the same opportunities, and now we're kind of pushing them up to these opportunities. Where now I honestly feel like men are not downgrading, but they're almost like they're stumped a little bit. I mean, I think there was a statistic that I think more women are now graduating from college, and if I'm not mistaken, I think now more women are even owning homes now. So it's almost like we've put them up on not this pedestal, but on this position to succeed at a much faster rate than men. Where it's almost like, what do you want now? Because you're already accomplishing your own money. Now there's like this level of time that we're taking away from you for you to have an established relationship, or for you to even have children. So like, where is the balance? And I feel like now with that modern woman, it's like, what do we do now? Because in order for you to look up to somebody else, it's like, well, if you're already making X amount of money, does then the guy that you need to be with have to be making more? Like what has to give at that point? I think that's my current concern with like modern feminization. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, I mean, I think women absolutely had a right to be able to get pushed into the playing field, because for hundreds of years it was kind of like the man's world, right? Kind of man, they created, they established, they made laws, they made rules, they ruled. So now for, let's say, for the past 60, 70 years, even a little bit less, women have been able to have their own bank account, have their own money, get their own careers. So now it's like you compare 50 years to 500 years. So it's like you can say, well, it's not really even anymore. I'm like, right? Is it? Like, because I feel like we're just now getting into the direction of making it fair. But yeah, obviously, are women outpacing men in a lot of these categories that you mentioned? Sure, for sure. But I think it's just a lot of men. You said it, it's just complacent. You know, men really aren't really men anymore, and it's like, it's not a woman's fault. You know, if they're outpacing you, it's only one person to, I don't want to say blame, but you got to work harder, you know? So I get what you're saying, where it's like a lot of women, they want their cake and eat it too, where they want to have the career, they want to make their money, but then they want the guy to pay for everything, or they want the guy to do this. Like, it's like they want their own money, and then they want to use the guy's money. And then they're like, fuck, what's
the solution?
Right.
Is what I'm saying in that situation. Because to your point, I get it. Like, oh yeah, men should strive for more. They should grind. They should be able to put a picture frame up on the wall. I get that. But to the woman who already puts the picture frame up on the wall and is already making the money, and she's already there, who do you date at that point? You know, like the pool is very different at that state. So then how do you please a woman like that when she's got all the things that the man should be able